everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. It is May 10th, 7 p.m. and I am now calling the 7 p.m. May 10th meeting of the Ayer Board of Health to order. First thing on our agenda is just general public input, not anything related to the public hearing, but it's just, you know, a time if anyone has any input about anything other than public hearing. Speak now or we'll ignore you. No one? Okay, all right, great. So no public input. Just making note of that. So there, having gotten that out of the way, I'd like to now reopen the continued public hearing related to Mimi's Place, previously known as Casamana, and the motel license that we issued. Just to give everyone, I kind of had to do this just to catch up where we are with this and where we've been. So to just give you the kind of chronology very quickly, it started September 4th. Steve Wenzel did submit an application for motel license for the previous Casamana property now to be operated. I'm sorry, I'm in the room with the cuckoo clock. It'll stop, okay. He did submit an application to operate a motel. So we scheduled a public hearing for that. The first public hearing was October 28th. We had a good discussion, requested some additional information, then had a couple of continuances, information continued to flow back and forth. And then finally on February 8th, the board voted to grant a 90-day license to operate a motel. And that had certain conditions. So I'm just going to quickly read what those conditions were so that we all kind of have the same ground rules. So conditions of permit. Within 90 days from the date of issuance of the license, the operation must be in full compliance with General Law, Chapter 140 and the State Sanitary Code, including the relocation of any long-term occupants that have resided there for more than that period of time, 90 days. The owner and or manager shall certify to the Board of Health that any long-term occupants have relocated. Occupants are prohibited from staying at the property in a non-transient manner, in parens, in excess of 90 days. A guest register of all guests with names and length of stay, including room number, must be submitted to the Board of Health every 30 days from the date of issuance. The owner and or manager must post a copy of the license with notice to all current and future occupants with these conditions immediately. A status update of the property's operations will be required in 90 days as to the compliance with the conditions at a Board of Health meeting. Pool cannot be used until it is licensed and inspected. COVID-19 measures for lodging facilities must be in place. The issue of this license, subject to its conditions, is not to be construed as a waiver of the town of Ayer's ability to conduct enforcement at the property to ensure compliance with all legal requirements. So that is the permit or the license that has been granted. And that expires tomorrow.
Actually, if I may, add to the timeline.
Yes.
We did receive a license dated March 23rd that extends to the end of December.
Issued by
this Board of Health.
this year.
Yes.
Anybody know anything about that?
No.
Bridget, did Neshoba issue anything?
No.
Heather, anybody?
We vote,
I've never seen that document.
The last time, like, as you stated, Pam, was February 8th. We voted to give a 90-day.
We did.
So
yeah.
in our notes, it expires tomorrow.
That's,
But Steve received shortly after the 23rd, a mailing that included this license that goes to the end of December.
What's the letterhead? Where is it from, Attorney Lilly?
It's the same, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. It's the same
yeah,
document
March
as
23rd, 2021.
in the conditions, but it doesn't have the conditions on it.
That looks like just a standard,
Which is typically the way the
Yeah.
license reads.
right, exactly, just the standard license. So
Mhm.
that is a mystery to me. Who issued the license?
Okay.
Board never voted to issue the license.
Right.
You continued to provide the update, the information updates
Right.
as requested. So
So we're providing those, though the newer license didn't require it. So I think that caused a little bit of a hiccup. But now we're back on track and providing those. I'm not sure what to tell you.
Madam Chairman,
yes,
was there any question in anyone's mind that the license wasn't for 90 days?
no,
That's what we voted on. That's how it was voted.
And I think that's
I-
what we discussed, and that's what everyone do.
I
Regardless,
presumed that it
is-
was, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
I said, regardless of what the piece of paper says, the record is pretty clear that it was good for 90 days with conditions. So whether there was a bookkeeping error or not, and there could have been,
mhm,
but there's no one that didn't know that the license was only for 90 days, irregardless of what it says.
I disagree. This has been provided to Steve now almost 2 months ago. As I understand, and looking at chapter 140, section 32B, these licenses are supposed to go through to December. So I don't think a 90-day license, and this is what I had presumed had happened, was that it was determined, well, I guess we can't do a 90-day license, but we'll issue the license going forward to December.
did you receive the 90-day license with
Yes, we
the
did.
conditions?
Yes, we did.
You
Yep. Mhm.
Pam,
Yes,
I don't have a copy of that in the file, and that might have been a clerical issue where the wrong one, something got mailed out inadvertently. The only one I have in the file is the one that we issued. And the one that was issued to him.
Exactly.
So that might have been a clerical error on the part of our administrative staff, because the
Mhm.
check was processed after the fact. But I don't even have
Yeah.
that in the file.
yeah, and
Madam
we've
Chair.
had no discussion about it.
Madam Chair, this is Alex Whiteside, Town Council.
Yes,
So whatever the board voted on and then issued, that is the operative license. So whatever this other document is not, in my opinion, a valid license.
okay, thank you for that.
Thank
For that clarification. I mean, I think that, Steve, Trish, do you feel any differently? I mean, I think that that's the feeling of the board at this point as well.
That's what I have written in my notes, and that's, well, I
Exactly.
missed the last
Yeah.
meeting, but the meeting before, that's what it shows.
Right.
I think it's very clear that that was the intent. And I think everyone understood that that was the intent. And
But
there was no action taken by this board to do anything other than that.
No, that's
I'm
absolutely
not
correct.
trying to pull a fast one or anything like that. I'm just saying that
Yep,
this is something that Steve had received, which gave us the understanding that things perhaps had changed. So now to say, well, nope, it's now ending, when we have a clear document that says that it's continuing to December, is problematic. By the way, I
Yeah.
apologize that Steve isn't here. He is on his way, and he's going to
Right.
be joining me in my office.
What's the date on the document? When was it received?
March 23, 2021.
Okay. And does it have the license number up at the top? Is there a?
Number 28, it says. The previous one had been number 9.
Yeah,
So that might have been just a clerical error on the part of the administrative assistant in our office. But Steve was actually sent a copy, I believe, by email to me. And if there was any question, a due
There wasn't a
diligence on
that was the problem.
he was sent, it was made very clear at the last meeting what was supposed to happen.
Mhm.
And he was sent this document, and I believe as you were. So if there was any
Mhm.
question, then again, you could have called our office, but there was clearly a clerical error.
Well, I clearly a clerical error is, I certainly would take issue with the term clearly, because it's now really muddied things here.
well, actually it
We're
hasn't.
still attempting,
isn't. It
we're
really
still on course with what we had outlined in the previous meeting. But I think it's necessary to be looking at this license, which was granted under the provisions of 140, section 32B.
Okay, and the
Madam
license,
Chair, I have to take issue with that assertion. The board again did not vote to issue that license, and therefore it's not a valid license, in my opinion.
well, and another point that I would like to bring up is that if necessary, we can, if we have to, because of this perhaps open question, deal with this as a question of whether that license then that was issued in error should be revoked
Right.
because of the property's current status in
Correct.
terms of compliance with the underlying regulations.
Right, so let's deal with the issues at hand. I think that it's my understanding is that the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health can issue a license without the board's approval.
They can if there are no open issues, questions, things that would require the board to weigh in.
Again,
Hey,
Mr. Lilly, if I
Pam?
may, that was an error on the part of one of the administrative assistants. It was not issued. I don't even have a copy of it.
I can get
So
you.
again, clearly it was not issued by the Board of Health. It was not issued or typed up by me. It was a clerical error on, at least that's what I'm thinking now. I don't even have a copy of it.
hey,
Okay.
Pam,
Yes,
this is Charlie Schultz.
yes.
So say it was issued. The thing is that if it is a motel and it's permanent as one, he's still not in compliance with our zoning because of the length of stay of the guest in our bylaws. So he would still have a cease and desist order from the building department instead of the Board of
Right.
Health, is my opinion.
That's exactly where I was headed, is if it's absolutely necessary, we can treat this as a license revocation.
Mm.
It's unclear whether.
So as
the
I said, I'm
license
not,
exists or doesn't
I'm
exist.
trying to work, obviously, to make this happen for everybody. First of all, I don't think that zoning applies here, as I've said previously, because this has been in existence for 75 years. But with respect to whether this is a transient, this is a hotel motel, I think is getting at the crux of what we're talking about here. I understood from Senator Eldridge that he had made some calls to the Board of Health, and I had thought that maybe this was a result of that call. I guess not, from what you're suggesting, but I'm not sure how this came to be, but it is. And if we're talking revocation, I would suggest that we're entitled to notice of the revocation. But
You've
again,
had
I'm
notice
Oh.
of public
not
hearing.
trying to, I'm not trying to throw up roadblocks here. Let's
Yeah,
deal with the
I
issues.
understand.
Mhm.
You know that license was not the intent of the board. I
No, I
think
didn't
everyone
know.
on this call understands.
I didn't know that.
So
You
you
were on
really
the phone
thought
call,
that
Mr.
after
Lilly, and
talking
you
to
were
you for
there.
6 months about
Exactly.
this, that
No, I
we
thought that we
suddenly
were
had a change
continuing
of heart
on
and
along
decided
the
to
lines
get
of
the
what
whole
we
thing?
suggested, but that you were gracious enough to extend out to December. That's what I understood.
No, well, we didn't. So I'd have to look to town council at this point. I am absolutely prepared to give you notice that we're going to have a public hearing to revoke the license.
All right.
Whether it was or wasn't erroneously issued, I think is beside the point. The issue is that the property is not operating in compliance with the Massachusetts law and the town of Ayer bylaws. In fact, it has gotten worse since Mr. Wenzel took over the property. There are 5 units that people are in now for 90 days or longer that were given to those, or of the current residents were allowed to occupy those units after Mr. Wenzel took control of the property, after he purchased the property. And we have a 6th that is going to be at 90 days, just a few days into June. So it's also abundantly clear that there is no constructive effort on the part of the owner of this operation to run it in compliance with the conditions that were set forth by the board at a public hearing and in conformance with the town bylaws and the state regulations. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. I'm sorry.
Can I push back for a second if I may? And I'm
Absolutely.
sorry.
No, absolutely.
He has been attempting to do everything to be in compliance. To claim that he's done nothing constructive to be in compliance is just not true. We're dealing with a part of the population that up till now the town of Ayer has suggested that this hotel, Casa Manor, has been part of the efforts of the town to deal with the homelessness situation. To have people now put out of that hotel. First of all, we have no evictions available to us at this point. There's still the moratorium on evictions. But it's requiring Steve to put out people from the town, from the hotel. Steve's walking in now. And I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
No, I know. But if this
It's
is your
requiring Steve,
position,
it's requiring Steve to take actions against the people who are his clientele and who are a vulnerable population. And I
It's
don't
just-
think that's what the law provides for.
it
And in
is
fact,
just-
I understand that there is precedent throughout the Commonwealth of hotels, motels that are being used, particularly during the COVID crisis, to address homeless populations or people who need to be housed for a longer period of time. Specifically, we have one example that comes to mind is the Minuteman Hotel in Acton, which has provided which has people that have been living there for years. And it's addressing that particular type of clientele, which I would suggest that places like the Casa Manor, if you were to shut it down, is going to be very, very disruptive to the town of Ayer and to the homeless population.
Okay, excuse me. I just have to stop you for a moment.
Sure.
here. When we first had this conversation back in October,
Mhm.
I have in my handwritten notes that Mr. Wenzel assured us that there was no intent to run this as long-term residences. I have wrote down that he said that would not be an appropriate use of the property. And I just have to beg an answer to the question, if this was your position all along, then
wasn't.
why did you waste the town's time
No,
on this?
no, that's not,
We had
that
the
hasn't
same
been my position.
conversation For 8
That
months.
hasn't been our position. We haven't been trying to establish this as a homeless shelter. And that was the question
When
that
did
was
you
put.
change?
I'm
When
sorry?
did you change? When did you change that?
We never
Because you're
did.
now telling me.
We never did. This
that-
is a hotel that is designed that does deal with a lower income clientele.
And what special design features have that makes it uniquely suitable for that purpose?
I'm not sure I understand.
You said it's a hotel that's been designed for this purpose.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm misspeaking as far as the design of it, but it's a hotel that for years and years has been allowing people to stay there that at a reduced rate. And I think that
That
that's,
may be the case. However, your client entered into an agreement and discussed with the town in presumably good faith, his efforts and his plans to bring this into compliance with a motel. I'm not, as Board of Health, authorized to tell you that you have to do anything with that property. All I can tell you is you've applied to us for a license to operate a motel. It is not a motel. It's not being operated as a motel. Perhaps it never was. I don't know, but it
no,
certainly
it
is
always
not
has
now.
been. It always has been. But
Always
the
has
Madam
been-
Chair,
the
can I just step
90-day
in here?
limitation has been the problem.
If council
I'm sorry.
would read chapter 140, section 32A, it specifically references that a motel is a transient facility, meaning you can't have
Yes,
people living
understood.
there for years, council.
I understand that, and that's exactly a good point that I was speaking with the other council from Copeland and Page, that it does indicate transient. It doesn't say 90 days though. But
Doesn't
I
say
understand that it
transient is
needs
not
to be
5 years,
transient.
council. That's not a good
That's
faith.
the nature of the hotel. The fact though
Five
that
years is not transient. You're never going to convince a judge of that, council.
90 days is
5
the
years.
definition of a motel in Mass General Law.
in Ayer it is, not in Massachusetts.
No, in Ayer, it's 60 days. In Massachusetts, it's 90 days.
Right. under
Madam-
the-
That's in the
under
I don't
definition
think
of
there's law
motel.
that says that. I don't think there's a
It's in the
definition that says
definition of
that,
motel.
except when we're talking about excise taxes.
No, council, if
That's
you
a
look at the
provision.
zoning bylaw, motel is defined as 60 days when you have a kitchen in the dwelling unit.
That's the Ayer bylaw,
Correct.
the Ayer zoning bylaw, which I would suggest doesn't apply here.
The
We'll agree to
Commonwealth,
disagree on that.
Commonwealth defines a motel. It's not in that section 140. It's under the Commonwealth's definition for a motel is where it states 90 days. Looking to see if I can find the citation for that. I have an awful lot of notes. Let's see. You are correct. Yeah, it is in the room occupancy excise. But I thought it was also in the state's definition.
No, I
That's why
haven't,
I'm
I've
looking to
seen the
32B
state's
as well.
definition talking about 90 days,
32.
other than in the context of taxes, which was, I think, 65.
Yeah, that's the one I was just looking at. 64G. Part one,
Pam,
64G.
we went, and we had talked to Janelle about this,
Yeah,
because of the word transient, that was the closest definition that we could find And it came in under the tax code.
Yes, that's right. Okay, this is it. It is under the.
64G,
under the
section 1.
definition. Yes.
It's the definition of occupancy.
Right. So it's in our town bylaws. I believe it is
In
also
your town
addressed.
zoning bylaws.
Yes, I believe it is also addressed by the state. So all we're telling you, we're not telling you that you can't do what you want to do. We can't give you a license because it doesn't fall within the purview of things, activities that we are allowed to license as a motel.
Since March 23rd, we believed you had given us a license through December.
If you want to push the issue, then we can move for.
I have to,
Okay.
because now we're in a corner where you're gonna say, we pull away your license, effective today.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
town council has been pretty clear that that piece of paper has no standing whatsoever.
absolutely.
And I don't believe that it does. And if Attorney Lilly wants to challenge that in court, I guess that would be his prerogative. And I'm totally in agreement with what you're saying. I think this is the wrong board to be addressing any issues. We have no standing in terms of licensing what they want to do. And I have no problem with what they're doing. That's up to them. But if it's not a motel hotel, then this conversation to me is a waste of our time.
I'm not trying to waste
Well,
anybody's time.
Madam Chair, could I make a suggestion?
Yes, please.
Could we maybe go through the permit, the license that is in effect with the conditions and talk about whether those conditions have actually been met?
Okay. Yes. So the conditions, as I read, were within 90 days to be in full compliance with Chapter 140, including relocation of any guest greater than or equal to 90 days, and to be completely thorough and open and honest. When we discussed that at the February 8th meeting, the question was raised. I don't remember if it was Attorney Lilly or Mr. Wenzel, but the question was, well, everyone, does it have to be in 100% compliance? And my response to that was, we're not saying 100%, substantial compliance, substantial movement, substantial compliance, something to give us confidence that you have a plan in place for that to really happen. So that was the number one piece. New occupants or existing occupants are to be prohibited from staying greater than 90 days. The guest register is to be submitted to the Board of Health every 30 days. We got it once. We got it in March, got nothing in April, and then we got it again in May.
You got April's. No, you did get April's, but you got it late because of the confusion with the with whether that was still a requirement. But you did get all three.
Oh, so did it come with the May? Is that,
Oh, I'm not
was
sure.
it kind of a combined?
No,
thing?
Steve says it came in as soon as we received word from Heather Hampson.
Okay. And that there was to be a posting of the license and notification to all current and future occupants. And then the last requirement was a status update to the board required within 90 days.
So all of the postings have occurred. Steve has extended some funds to at least one person who has relocated. That was $1,000 that was expended for relocation expenses. He is regularly posting the job postings as well as the housing postings. There hasn't been much interest, unfortunately, in some of the educational components that we've done, though there has been one situation, one individual who did express some interest And Steve has
Mhm.
sat down with that individual and has presented the seminar himself about what's available. He has assisted people to apply for housing. One application I know went in that the person is on a list to go in. But this is all slow going, and it's all slow going. That's being recognized throughout the Commonwealth. And there's been some ability for these hotels that are intended to be transient by nature. It is intended to be transient by nature, but it's allowing some degree of latitude, particularly during the COVID crisis, where people are being allowed to stay for extended periods. I spoke to somebody today at what's the name of the place that we
Mahasa?
no, not Mahasa. I had spoken to somebody that deals with one of the motel associations, and he tells me that in the Cape there are certain hotels or motels that are allowing homeless populations to stay there for extended periods, and they're being reimbursed by the state. So there's a lot that's happening that doesn't necessarily incorporate this 90-day idea. And I don't think that is what is supposed to apply throughout the Commonwealth. I think it's a good intention. It's a good idea, and it's a rule that Steve has put in his provisions, his policies, his statements. The thing that's distributed to his guests, that they can't stay more than 90 days. But once they stay more than 90 days, what are we supposed to do? We can evict them, but we can't evict right now because of the COVID situation, which is lifting a little bit better, but it still is here.
That's interesting. So you can't evict somebody from a motel room because of COVID. Then
You can't evict
why?
anyone anywhere because of
Why
COVID.
hasn't everyone just checked into a hotel for one night and said, I'm not leaving? It doesn't
Let's
make
not-
sense. It doesn't make
Let's
sense.
not open up that. I don't know.
What you're operating, you have a lot of good information about other towns, other specific motels. I would encourage you to do the research to find out how that's allowed in those towns. What kind of bylaws do they have?
I'd like to do that. Yeah.
Do they designate it as something in particular? Then come to the town and approach whoever the appropriate board is to take the next steps. I don't even know what those would be,
Okay.
but I suspect your next contact will not be with Board of Health. It may be with zoning, planning, buildings. Yeah.
Okay, so what happens now then? Are you
Madam Chair,
looking?
Madam Chair, could I suggest something?
Yes.
Could we maybe hear from Bridget about, in her opinion, how many current occupants have been there longer than 90 days?
I'd say a good number of them, probably.
15.
Okay, I'm sorry.
15 of the 19 specifically.
It looks like it, and again, it gets a little confusing because, and I apologize, the first round of paper that came in on 2/8 that was presented to Steve, this was before the March, the group that came in March. They didn't have, I'm sorry, they had all the people and the children that were there, no names on the children. The next groups didn't have all that information. So it looks like to me, if I had to, when I sorted through them, taking out the house itself, if those are individual apartments in the house, that kind of was considered something separate. It looks like there's about maybe, and I'm just gonna say approximately 12. There's one person on the list that there's the name, but doesn't tell you when they came or when they departed, so we have no idea how
Yeah,
long she
Yeah.
was there.
That was,
Time that I don't know when they would have got there, so they are 90 days.
So that, like I said, it looks like it's approximately 12 maybe. And then
yeah,
there's one shuffled around a bit, and I think he wound up in the house. So if I had to guess, I mean, looking at this, I would say about 12-ish. Does that sound right?
it does. I kind of laid out the rooms and then what the periods of stay have been, and I ended up with 15 of the 19
So that
Right
could
now.
be it.
year grade days. But I didn't break out the ones in the house versus,
Yeah,
which is
so I think
really
if you,
I think it's probably closer to 16, according to Steve's determination.
and that's
So-
more than when we started this. So we're actually.
Right, but I think if we're strictly applying a 90-day rule, I understand that. And I think that's part of the problem here, is that we're saying that there's a 90-day rule that seems to be creeping into this thing, when I think that the only definition that should be applied is
Okay,
one
so
of.
let's just
Well,
say
what
we
is,
have.
council, what do you think transient means? What's a reasonable timeline? in your
Well,
opinion?
I think 90 days can be a reasonable measure of what an ideal of transients would be, because that is being referred to elsewhere. But I don't think that it's being suggested that this has to be a cutoff at 90 days. So we inherited a situation that Steve bought into in 6 months ago, that has been in existence for years and years. The town of Ayer has been aware of what's been operating there. The Board of Health, the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health have been conducting inspections. Steve did his due diligence by talking to the town about what he should be concerned about there. And he's inherited this situation, and he's inherited a COVID crisis on top of it. And we're just trying to deal with those issues that are specific to that. But and Madam Chair, you had suggested that we've been wasting time. We haven't been wasting time. We've been responding to these requests since October about how to be dealing with things, and we've been looking at it long and hard as far as what is the best way to deal with it. We've dealt with a number of different possibilities, whether we separate out certain units. There's a particular row of rooms that are clearly the traditional motel type of setup. There are also units in the back that perhaps we could expand, and we would need to get the building inspector involved in this, expand to something other than that. But we're trying to deal with all of this while under the gun as far as deadlines are being imposed. And that's why when we saw this license come to us in March that said you have till December, that was actually a godsend to allow us some breathing room so we can really find out where we're going to go with this. And I would implore this board to continue that license to December so that we can do this, and we will continue to work with the board. This isn't a situation where somebody's trying to duck their responsibilities, not, that the wool's being pulled over somebody's eyes. We're trying to make this thing work as it's worked in other communities. And as it's worked in this community. As I said, the town of Ayer has touted the fact that this has been an effort to alleviate some of the, not an effort, but effectively has resulted in the town's homelessness population actually being addressed by places such as Chasm Manor, such as the Ayer Motor Inn. And those two entities are named specifically within the town plan from 2017. So
Then
I
you
would ask that
may
we could.
have a great deal of luck then with other boards in the town, planning,
Mhm.
zoning, carving out something for you.
Okay. I'd like the opportunity to do that,
I have-
but not do that under the auspices of running, running blind because we don't have this license. Can
know,
we
if they-
keep this license going until December as it was issued?
Madam
And-
Chair, may I
and
make a
we'll work-
statement,
And we'll
please?
work together with the building inspector and make this thing happen.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
again, that permit is not considered
No.
valid. It was mailed by mistake. It was not issued by the board. Mr. Lilly was at the last meeting when it was issued, if I remember correctly, and heard all the conditions of the permit that we read out loud. So it was obviously some sort of mistake. It was not, and again, not I do not know where it came from. I do not have a copy of it in the file. Again, I have no idea. So
But could
keeping that in
Steve
mind, it
bear
was
the
not a
brunt
valid
of that?
permit. The Board of Health had a meeting back in February. It was voted on. The conditions of the permit were read out loud. I think that's pretty clear. So again, that permit is not valid. It's like me mailing something by accident off my desk and somebody thinks they have a food permit. So that,
Well,
is not a
It's an
valid permit.
action by your organization to issue a license. How
it
else
was
are we
not,
supposed to take
again,
that?
I cannot explain how it was issued. It was not issued by the board.
The names on it.
It does contain the names of each of the commissioners on it.
Doesn't
Are
have
there
any
any sig-
signatures, does it?
yeah, there's no
No,
signatures.
no license in this regard has the signatures on it. It's just the printed names.
Right, but every license has to be voted on by the board.
Not necessarily if it can be issued by the board, by the Neshoba's agent.
Again, we were at a public hearing, Mr. Lilly.
I know
I'm
we were
pretty
at a
clear
public
that you were
hearing,
there.
and I know we had some back and forth about what should be on here.
The permit is not a
you had
valid
suggested-
permit. It was mailed by accident by one of our administrators. It is not a valid permit.
Well, regardless too, Madam Chair, even assuming for the sake of argument that it was valid, the board still would be within its rights if you thought appropriate to revoke the permit, assuming that you don't think that they're in compliance with the conditions that you had mentioned at the last hearing and the fact that they're not operating a transient type motel facility.
But I would suggest that we're entitled to a notice of a hearing. And we should come back and argue and be able to make our presentation.
Pam,
Because this
can I
is
make a
what we
comment in
expect.
regards to that, please?
I'm sorry?
The board continued the public hearing when they issued the additional permit to the and to this meeting tonight with the condition of 90 days permit. So if another permit was issued between that, the public hearing is still open for your license, whether one was issued or not. So I would argue that point of the side of it as well. We never closed the hearing. It still continued as it still to this point now. And unfortunately, Pam, APAC told me we only have about 15 to 20 minutes left.
I know, yeah,
So
I
keep
know.
that in mind. But I
I
would make
know,
that
I know.
argument too, is that the board did continue the hearing to this evening, even though they issued that permit under the condition of the 90 days. So if another one was mailed by accident, we're still in that 90 days. We're still in that public hearing process.
That's true. And I would argue that where that puts your client, Attorney Lilly, is
Mhm.
you're in the same place. You're no farther back, you're no farther ahead than you were when you came to us in September to apply for the permit. At that point, you didn't have the license, you applied for it. Now we're at the point where the temporary has expired. So, we're kind of back at the beginning.
Madam Chair,
So,
it's the
yes.
fire chief. If I might add, I've probably been to 3 of these, and I know Steve talked about a design professional coming in to take a look at you know, the
Mhm.
fire protection of the life safety aspect of this. I haven't heard boo from like 3 or 4 months.
Well, no, I have a copy.
Okay.
Of what?
So, let me,
Steve would like to respond to that.
Okay,
yeah, so I apologize for being late. My work as a social worker, sometimes I'm taken in different directions. So yeah, I am sorry, Chief. That has been done for a couple of months. I've seen a copy of the final inspection that he did. So I'm a little concerned that you don't have that because I have paid for that. So
no, no,
I
I'm
will
sure
get,
between,
yeah.
between
So
Charlie and Bridget and them, I know they've been down, but this office hasn't seen any, you know, in regards to the fire prevention.
yeah, I'll see if I can get something. I don't know if I have a signed copy, but I mean, I can tell you verbally at least what I have there is sufficient. There's no changes recommended, just so you know. But I'll see if I can get that for you. I thought you had it long ago.
No, Charlie, you don't know of anything between you and Bob and Bridget going down there?
No, I haven't seen anything. And when there was one done, if there was one done, that is being based on fire protection for a hotel motel.
Mm.
Yeah.
Correct.
So if they're saying it's not being operated as a hotel motel, that wouldn't even pertain to that. It has to be fire rated for what use it is.
Right,
And
correct.
and Attorney Lilly saying they're going to work with the building inspector on how to get this through. I don't know what I can do.
Correct, and all that stuff from the fire code was based on that being a hotel motel. And even in my notes that if there's a change of use, then everything we talked about has to start from whatever that's determined as. And like, so that goes back, I was here October and December, and then again in February, but nothing has been seen or done as far as I know. And the bottom line here is too, we're talking about the health and safety of the occupants. That's what this is all about.
Madam Chair, can I note something as well that under chapter 140, I think it's section 32C, the Board of Health agent is supposed to be allowed to inspect all the units of the property as well for sanitary code issues prior to issuance of a license.
So I'm just making some notes, I'm sorry. So I think we certainly have a lot of input from everyone. I think in the interest of time, because we are limited to an hour on these Zoom meetings, and granted, this ran over because certainly some information came up that most of us were not aware of. But I think it would probably be appropriate at this time for the board with Bridget and town council to just have a little bit of discussion, deliberation on what's the appropriate way to move forward from here. Does that sound reasonable?
Mhm.
Everyone?
Sure.
Okay.
So Madam Chair, are you closing the public hearing at this point?
Nope, no, public meeting is still open. It's now, what I'd like to do is just have the board and with yourself as guidance and Bridget kind of just deliberate on what we believe is the appropriate thing to do with this license.
Alex, do we have to close the public hearing before we do that?
Mute that.
We don't, you should close the public hearing before the board votes on everything, but if the chair wants to keep it open at this point, that's fine.
It is okay.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, it probably makes sense then to let's leave it open just in case. Let's leave it open just in
Okay.
case. So, so my feelings, I think I've been very vocal in this meeting about what my feelings are. It's not, I'm not passing any judgment as to whether this is a good or bad thing to do, but it's not a motel. It's not the thing that the license has been applied for. And I would look to town council for your advice as to whether, with this other kind of spurious license that's appeared, do we need to talk about revocation, or can we treat the original as though it was in effect? But those
Sure,
are my,
Madam Chair. So I think the board could deal with that issue by doing a couple votes, one of which would be either to renew or not renew the operative license. And in the alternative, to the extent there is some other license that, erroneously was issued, but apparently was received by the owner, that license, to the extent it is in effect, is revoked.
okay. So what do my other board members think?
I agree. I agree, Pam. I mean, all of a sudden, this other, license pops up. And listening to Chief Johnson say that he hasn't really had much input or contact. And there is no going further. You don't just keep giving another 90 days. You have to come to some kind of a decision after this, if it expires tomorrow. So.
Yeah. Agreed. Mr. Slarsky, any
Yeah, I think
thoughts?
question for town council too. If this is not operating as a motel hotel, then what standing does the Board of Health have? And why would we take any action if it's not acting? He could seek the authority of the other boards that have jurisdiction for what he wants to do. And again, I have no prejudice to whatever it is he wants to run. But, it seems like the Board of Health taking any action is somewhat unnecessary because it doesn't fall under our jurisdiction. But I'd like to know what town council has to say about that.
Well, I would agree with you that if you do not believe that this is a motel facility, meaning a transient type of use, then it would not be appropriate to issue a license for a motel. If I would note, though, that the board also has jurisdiction over sanitary code type issues. So, I understand Bridget hasn't been in to inspect any of these units in quite some time. So, that may or may not be an issue down the line. But with regard to the motel license, you would need to find that this is a transient type of lodging facility to determine it's a motel, and therefore that's entitled to a motel license.
Yeah, right. Okay. That's kind of where I'm coming down on, really on both of the questions. And I think the question of renew or not, there hasn't been information presented to show a compelling reason why it should be extended.
And Madam Chair, could I raise one other point as well?
Yes,
I know
of
there's been
course.
some discussion about, the meaning of transient and, is 90 days really the standard? Whether or not it's 90 days, Bridget, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of the folks living there have been there for years, right?
Correct.
That's, under any standard, I don't think a reasonable argument can be made that staying there for years is a transient type use.
Correct. Yes. Agreed.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. So I do like your advice, Alex. Thank you very much for if we should probably do the two votes here so that we've got both, I guess, sides of the issue covered. So I guess at this point, if there's no further discussion, I will entertain motions.
We have to
my
close the
board.
meeting before
Yeah,
we do that.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. We do have to, I'm sorry. Okay.
I would, Madam Chair,
Sorry.
I would, offer Attorney Lilly to respond if you'd like, or.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. He says, save me from myself. I
No,
appreciate
that's
it.
all right.
Okay, anything, Attorney Lilly, do you have any comments for us before we close the?
Yeah,
public-
sorry about them moving around in the seats
That's
here.
okay.
So from the beginning, this board had asked us what the intended use was. And I think we've been very clear about what the intended use is. The fact that there have been people there that have been there for years is not something that should fall on Steve. That this is something that the town of Ayer has known about for years, has known that this has been the situation, and has allowed Casa Manor to operate. Steve now stepping in is inheriting a situation that now the town, who has benefited from Steve, or rather from Casa Manor's presence in the community, is now looking to pull the rug out from under him. After having set these conditions in place back in February, that was the language that was in the that was read into the record. Is the language that's on the paperwork, but it's not really what we were discussing at the time until it had been added on at the very end of the meeting. Well, let's do these conditions that we have this 90-day requirement. So now we have Steve having received a month and a half later, a month and a half ago at this point, this license that says you are licensed all the way through to December.
Yeah.
And which apparently allowed him to continue on. But now, without notice that this is what's going to happen, we're saying, no, that was a mistake. And now we're going to, again, without notice, pull the rug out from under you. So Steve and Casa Manor and the residents of Casa Manor, I'm sorry, the residents. I don't mean to say the residents. The guests of Casa Manor are in this predicament that I would suggest is also going to cause potentially a problem for the town of Ayer, for the health of the town of Ayer, if we're talking about trying to put homeless people in the streets, or create a further bigger homeless population. We've got a real problem here. So I would urge this board to adopt the license that had been issued in March, that whether it was sent in error or not was something that Steve had relied upon and acting to get us to where we are here today, such that, you know, for a month and a half, we're operating under one rule, under the other, for the next month and a half, we're operating under another rule. And now we're saying, no, that one, never mind about that. We're going back to the old rule. It's just inherently unfair. I think that there's a disparity in the way that this town is attempting to apply a 90-day requirement to Steve that is not being applied elsewhere throughout the Commonwealth. So I would like the opportunity to do the research that you had invited me to do, and I would ask that we continue this for notice to be given that you're seeking to revoke his license. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Can Steve say something as well?
Pam, you're muted.
I'm trying to avoid that cuckoo clock any
Oh.
minute. Yes, absolutely.
On, or do I have to hit some?
Go ahead.
Steve can say something? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Forgive me, this is going to move a little bit. I'm just gonna hand this to him.
Yeah, hello again. I do want to apologize if I've caused the board any grief over the last 6, 8 months. Definitely not my intention. And wherever it falls, it falls. I understand you have a job to do, but I truly believe that the Air Board of Health, I won't say everybody there, but the Air Board of Health has listened, has thought about it, and asked tough questions to me. Some of it difficult to answer, not all of them, but I like to think from day one, when you had me in front of the camera and you were asking me questions, I answered every one of them. You said, I heard people are living there more than a year. I said, yeah, I got someone there 7 years. I wasn't trying to hide things. My hope was that
You're
somehow
right.
we
You have been very honest.
Yeah, my hope was that somehow we could work a little bit more together. I would challenge anyone on the board, if I said you had to leave your house in 90 days, could you do it? And my assumption is most of you have some manner of wealth or means to do that. Sure, 90 days sounds like a good plan, but I mean, you have to have resources to do things like that. So I expect what you're going to do, and I support it. I've been on a couple of the boards in town myself, so I know how it works. But I would say, picture yourself in some of the situations some of the people are in. And what if it was you? What if it was somebody that was related to you? How would you want to be treated? And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So with that, I think, now the cuckoo clock. I am so sorry. At least I don't have the cat filter on. I think we have a very short amount of time. We're actually over by a couple of minutes. So I think what we need to do at this point is close the public hearing and at least get in the 2 votes that town council has recommended that we take up. Sounds reasonable? Okay. Then to close the public hearing, do we need to vote on that?
Yes.
Okay. Motions? Anyone?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are close. Then the first issue is a vote by the board on whether to renew or not, or to issue another license in place of the 90-day with conditions.
I have a question. What would that, as I said before, what would that look like? Would it be like amending when it expires tomorrow?
Mhm.
We have the option of revoking or giving another 90 days?
Yes.
Don't we have the option of doing nothing? If it doesn't fall under our standing, why are we taking up the issue? The license would expire on its own. We don't have to vote not to give a license, but we can't give a license for something that doesn't fall under our jurisdiction. So why would we take
No,
any?
that technically that's correct. That is correct. Town council, any advice on that? Are we better to?
Has there been an application filed
Yes.
for a new permit?
Yes.
Not for a new permit, just the 90-day one that you issued. The original one back in.
Right.
Yes, that's the
September,
only one that
yeah.
was issued, the only application that was received.
So
That's
Alex,
correct.
he submitted an application back in, maybe it was September or October. And
Yeah, September.
yeah, and because it was a new ownership, we had to have the public hearing, which is why we're here. So he did fill out an application for a permit. The board just gave him a permit for 90 days based on the length of stay that people were there, and they wanted to give him an opportunity, correct me if I'm wrong, members, to have them move along with it.
Well, Madam Chair, I believe the applicant has requested tonight to renew the license. So I would recommend that the board votes either yes or no to renew the license as a first vote.
Okay, but that does seem reasonable.
Okay.
In light of that, any motions?
I would move not to renew the license, and I'd like to make a comment.
Go right ahead.
It's not the intent of, I don't think, this board to displace anybody, and I would not hope that that happened. But I would hope that Mr. Wenzel would seek the appropriate permit from the issuing authority to do whatever it is he wants to do. And it certainly isn't under my purview to suggest whatever he wants to do. And if he wants to keep long-term occupancy, that's fine by me. But he needs to seek the approval of the people that can grant that.
I agree,
Well,
Steve.
well said.
Yes.
Okay, so we have
I
a
second,
motion. Second,
I second what Steve said. He made
Okay.
a motion, yes.
And
All
Madam Chair, there should be a roll call vote.
okay. To do that, do I do the all in favor and then call people's names or what?
You could just call people's names.
Okay, all right. Trish. Patricia Peters. How do you
I vote not to, no.
Okay.
Trish, you vote in favor to not issue the permit, so you vote aye.
Exactly. I'm
In favor of the
sorry.
motion.
I'm sorry. Yes. Denied.
Okay. And Mr. Slasky.
As I made the motion is my vote.
Right.
Okay, perfect. And my vote as well is not to issue another license at this time. And I think that, Steve, you explained, I wholeheartedly agree with what you say.
Yes.
Try to get the right license to do what you want to do with the property and what you think the town needs. So that being done, so then we've voted not to renew or issue another 90-day. Then the other permit that currently says it's good through the end of December. Town council has advised that we vote on that, whether to revoke such license if it is valid.
I would just note for, Madam Chair, I would ask that you note for the record that the board is not acknowledging that it is valid.
Right. That's what I thought.
Absolutely. That is, yeah, that's evident throughout the meeting, and we don't recognize that it is valid. It was not authorized by anyone on the board. It does appear to truly be a clerical error for which I apologize. That should not happen.
Madam Chairman, I'd make a motion to clarify that issue, that this board did not issue any other licenses.
I second that, Steve.
Yeah. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
True. The board does not acknowledge that it has issued another license. So in that case, then, Alex, do we still need to vote to
No.
revoke it? No, we're just saying that it's not.
No.
valid. It's just not valid. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your help. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
So we're really desperately running overtime. So that was really our big issue for tonight. I think, we had a few other things, COVID, Neshoba materials, anything, Bridget, on that side that's
We'll sign off at this point. Thank you.
okay. Yes, thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
I think I'll sign off as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your help. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So Bridget, if there's not, if there's anything that we should know about, of course, tell us. If there's nothing, really remarkable to report, that's okay too.
So the only thing I have, so I did some food inspections. Walk and roll has been done. The 2 schools have been done. Fresh Air Nutrition has been done. Dunkin' Donuts did some remodelings. That was done in
Yeah.
Devon's Pizza. So that was just in the past, like 3 weeks or so. So no major issues on the food inspections.
Okay.
There was a permit issued for the Airtown Beach for them to, actually for the beach itself.
Yep.
But I think you already knew that. And then
Yeah.
they have a little snack shack at the Airtown Beach, and we did issue a permit for that, for prepackaged
Okay.
food only.
Okay. And they've done that in previous years, right? That's not a.
Yes, yes.
That's not, okay.
There's one additional item too. Isn't the vaccination clinic starting on Wednesday on Devon's?
Yep, so under COVID, that is, the vaccination clinic is starting at Devon's on Wednesday. We have been promoting on our Facebook page. I think the Air Facebook page has been as well.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get the word out. I did send out a mass email to our food establishments, letting them know if they have employees that they can go to that clinic on Devon's, and I sent the link for it. Alan in Economic Development, I talked to him this morning, and I think he was going to reach out to some businesses as well. So I am not sure if he was successful with that. So we're just trying to basically tell as many people as we can in as many different forms
yeah.
as we can.
Is this, are there any certain restrictions or qualifications, or is it for anyone?
All Massachusetts qualified individuals.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think it's 16 and over. Is that right, Steve?
I believe so.
Yeah. 16.
Okay. But it's not tied to a particular employer or
Nope.
anything like
Nope.
that. Anyone could go.
Nope.
Wonderful. That's
So
good.
Air is no longer red.
Yeah.
The numbers today
Good
were pretty
news.
amazing. Massachusetts was down to, I think, somewhere around 400 maybe.
Mhm.
So we've made some considerable progress,
Yeah.
which is great. There's also 2 dates. One was Sunday, the 10th, and then there's another one. I think it's May 29th, for some just timelines for new things to start going back online.
Oh,
Um,
right.
one of
Oh,
them,
right.
I believe on the 29th, I think you can start drinking beer without food.
All right.
Yeah.
Don't
Then-
drink beer.
Yeah.
And then you can, that was one at the restaurant. So you well, right now you have to order food
You
with
have to order
alcohol.
food,
So on the
right.
29th, that's scheduled to change. And they're
Okay.
also allowing some bigger events, like road races and things like that. They do say that, of course, the Board of Health has to review the COVID plans for these bigger events. So stay
Mhm.
tuned for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We have anything else for Neshoba material?
Nope, those were the only things in the envelope, and like I said, it's just pretty much been copacetic.
Beautiful.
Good.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah. Thank you. So are you guys.
Oh, we're all in it together.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. We had 2 trash complaints, Central Ave and I think it was Hatch Street,
Okay.
and both were corrected. So we
Yes.
sent letters, and both of those were corrected.
Were those on properties, or did they have
Yep.
something to do with trash hauls?
Nope, one was, looked like an apartment was emptied out in front of the apartment. And then another one, there was debris in a construction container that had
Okay.
fallen apart. So both of
Okay.
those, I sent letters, and they both have been removed.
Awesome. Thank you very much for taking care of that.
You're welcome.
All right, review and approve minutes. Did you folks, I don't know, Steve, if you had a chance to review them, we could put that off until the next meeting.
We can if you want. I wasn't, well, no, that was the one I was at, yes. It's up to you.
I haven't had a chance to read them yet, but whatever
Okay.
you want.
Okay, you know what, then let's just postpone that, move to next meeting.
Okay,
And mail bills, anything going on there?
Nothing's really come in at this point, but I did want to let you guys know that I have sent out the renewal letters for the animal and chicken permits. And they're slowly starting to trickle in, so I will get in touch with you, Pam, about getting them ready to
Okay.
sign an issue.
Yeah, signing those. Okay, great. So no bills, nothing we have to sign.
No.
So our last thing here, it's action items for the May 24th. Now, I know that you wanted to get back with Lori Sable. Correct, Heather, to,
Yeah, I just wanted to be able to let her know when she'd be coming back, so she had plenty of time.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear back from her because I emailed her to let her know when the next meeting was, and if that date would work
Yeah.
for the one in June, and I never heard from her, but I just wanted to, I don't want to forget about it. So I'm trying to be proactive on it.
you know, what I think might give us some good structure for that discussion is that little kind of table thing. I think I might have done it in Excel that I put together that had the requirements that they needed, and then how I thought that was addressed in our regulation. So what I'm thinking is maybe we send that to them and then
Okay.
ask them to come to that next meeting. And they could come on the 24th, or they could come at the next one. And, then we could really kind of talk the nitty gritty of, oh, well, this doesn't address such and such because, so we'll know then exactly what we would need to do.
Okay.
If we want to change.
I will
our
do
regulation.
that. I will try to do that on Wednesday.
Okay, and you have that document, right? If you don't. just
I
email
should.
me.
If I don't, I'll email it, the town
Okay.
offices are closed tomorrow due to the elections.
Okay.
all right.
And then
All
I'm
right,
on
great.
vacation. I'm in for half a day on Wednesday, then I'm out on vacation, but I'll try to remember to look for that Wednesday and let you
Okay.
know if I don't have it, so I can get
Okay.
everything all set.
And if she can do it on the 24th, that's great. If they can't do it until June, we could probably do either one of those meetings.
Okay.
Would be equally as good.
Pam, I
All
see the
right.
town hall is opening back up again. Or is there a plan to have public meetings in the town hall?
I believe they're doing a phased opening, and there hasn't been any date on when they're actually opening. The town hall is it's closed internally just for appointments only, which we haven't had
Yeah.
that many. There hasn't been any idea of a date set for when we will open up further. I haven't seen anything on that. I think they're waiting for more of a vaccines to be done within the town. I have no idea, but I know it's a
Okay.
phased opening, and we're still in the first phase, which is doing by appointment only. On the first floor or outside. I haven't heard anything about opening up further, and I don't think that's going to be coming to probably sometime in June. I'd have to double check the emails that were sent, but I don't think there was a date on those.
Okay, got it. And no, there haven't been any other selectmen are not meeting in town, planning, anyone else? They're not meeting in the town
Everyone's
hall.
still doing Zoom meetings.
Yeah. Okay. I know, I'm with you, Steve. I do like an in-person.
Yes,
meeting.
yes.
Oh my gosh. All right. Anyone else? Any questions, comments,
Not I,
criticisms, things to consider? No?
no.
All right. Great. Then any motions to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 8:19, we are adjourned.